Alright, I know the Sega Dreamcast settings guide was probably not on the top of all of your lists, but here's the thing. This is a really busy week for me, and the setup guide for the Dreamcast is a lot more straightforward, so this is the one I had time for. Also, interesting fact, way back in 1998 when Sega announced the Dreamcast, I was the founder and editor of the website Dreamcast Extreme. Anyway, for all of these games, we're going to be using Redream. In the past, I had also recommended Flycast, but after doing a lot of testing, I found it's not really necessary anymore. I find Redream to be much more user-friendly, and all the games will work on it well. Almost immediately right here, you'll notice that white bar didn't go away, so I'm just going to swipe this up and off the screen and try reopening it, and that took care of the issue. Now, let's take a look at my recommended starting settings for Redream. Obviously, the library tab is where you can set the folders for your ROMs, and then over in saves is where you can control what's been saved to your VMUs. Now, you can see here all of the stuff I have. You can delete saves here. You can export saves here. One thing I will stress is that Redream only gives you 4 VMUs, and you can't always control which one a game uses. So if a game is willing to let you save on the 4th one or the 3rd one, I suggest you do that. Some will only work in the first VMU. Obviously, the input tab is where you're going to set up your controller, and I will show you exactly how I have mine set up the way I like to keep it set up. I've made some changes to the default. The first one you might notice is that here for the L trigger and the R trigger, I like to have it doubled on both the L and both the R. That's because for some games I find I prefer the front triggers, maybe a fighting game for example, and others I prefer the back, such as in a racing game. The Dreamcast only has one set of triggers, so it's no problem to just double them up. Over here you'll notice that although the button colors on my Retroid Pocket 3 Plus are right, they're in the wrong order, so you may need to make some adjustments to make sure the A button, B button, and so on are in the right place. I set the right stick to turbo and the left stick to show the VMU. I use the right stick for turbo so that I don't accidentally click it. The Dreamcast didn't have a right analog stick, so you usually won't be pushing that. Likewise, I use the select button to pull up the menu because the Dreamcast did not have a select button. I hope that wasn't too boring, but I've noticed some people do have some issues setting up the controls correctly, especially on the Wii, so I wanted to show you how I've got mine set up, and then we'll take a look at the video menu. Many Dreamcast games I've tested on the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus will run fine at 1920 by 1440, but if you notice they aren't, you could set it down to 1280. That still roughly matches the resolution of the screen on the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus. But of course, if you can run them at a higher resolution and still maintain 60 frames per second, you're going to get the benefit of some super sampling. And I should also mention here that to use higher resolutions on Redream, you do need to buy the app. You can do that with only a $6 donation, and that registration will work across every platform that uses Redream. So you can use the same registration on your Windows PC, for example. Definitely turn frame skip off. We don't want to skip frames. And here, turn vertical sync off. If you're having issues with Redream crashing, this is why. For some reason, at least on the Retroid Pocket devices, having that on seems to crash the software occasionally. Here in System, you can take a look. You see there's no BIOS. Redream does not need a BIOS, although you can use one if you want. With that out of the way, let's check out some games. Using Redream from any game, if you pull up the menu, you'll see this. And I would suggest you turn on the custom config. That way any settings you change, like resolution, will only be changed for that game and not all of your games. Redream also supports widescreen hacks. You can get those here in the cheats menu. You just have to switch it on, and then after that you would choose to reset the game and you would get widescreen. That tends to work great. If Redream has that option, it almost always works perfectly. And now you can check out some 4-wheel thunder at 1920 by 1440p. It's sort of a pseudo-sequel to Hydro Thunder. It does run really well. I'm not a big fan, but hey, let's just go through in alphabetical order, shall we? Starting here with numbers. Moving right along to some Crazy Taxi 2. It's one of those games where you can use all of the VMUs. So as I said, I suggest choosing anything but the first one. Some games will not let you choose. Sadly, I also have to turn off the music on this one, otherwise it'll be demonetization time for me, and it really does take some of the fun out of this game if I'm being honest. You might have also noticed some slowdown already, so did I. I was running it at 1920. This game had trouble running full speed at any resolution on the Retroid Pocket 3, so that's understandable. Setting it down to 1280 took care of all the slowdown issues, and now it's running at a stable 60 frames per second. Next up alphabetically is Cyber Troopers Virtual On Oratorio Tangram. What a mouthful. Running at 1920, it does look great. It looks a lot better than the original Saturn Virtual On, but somebody needs to come up with better names for this series if they're ever going to do another one. Get ready. I know I've shown it to you before in previous videos, but Dead or Alive 2 really does look great on this system, on this screen, upscaled to 1920. It's one of the prettier fighting games on the Dreamcast, so I want to remind you, it runs great at this resolution. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was one of the notable games that did not run well using Redream on the Retroid Pocket 3. However, now with more horsepower on the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, you can play this on Redream at 1280. I did notice some minor frame dropping at 1920, so definitely 1280. But at least you don't need to use Flycast to play it anymore. And I did play many rounds of the game off camera and suffered through many supers, and at least at 1280 I never noticed the frame rate drop below 60 FPS.
Welcome to Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington, Kentucky, here on the Sega Sports Network. Preseason 1A college football is upon us. I'm Victor Shaw, and with me today is Ted Mingo. The Kentucky Wildcats are ready to go. They've gathered at the center of the field for the opening toss and are eagerly anticipating the start of their meeting with the Akron Zips. They call tails. Tails it is. Akron will receive the opening kickoff, and the return unit is headed for the field.
Luckily for fans of the 2K sports games, they do run much better on the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus than they did on the Retroid Pocket 3. I'm playing NCAA 2K2 here, but NFL 2K2 and NBA 2K2 all run at 60 frames per second now on the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus at 1280.
Number 41 catches it. Number 29 forces him out of bounds on the return.
The Wildcats want to take charge of this game from the start and put pressure on this offense.
The Zips will get the ball first to start things off, and we're ready for action. Short throw down the middle. Number 2.
Rayman 2 is another game that lets you choose any of the VMUs. So again, a reminder, save your games to one of the others rather than the first one. It also has its own widescreen mode. So for this game, you're actually going to want to go into the options to turn that on rather than using a widescreen hack. It can be a little awkward. I'll show you what it looks like. You see, if you've clicked here, now it tells you to set your screen to 4:3. That's not what you want. Now it tells you to set it to 16:9. So yeah, we're good to go. Let's hop in this game, which I think is one of the best 3D platformers of this era. And you could really only run it at 640x480 on the Retroid Pocket 3, but now you can run it at 1280, no problem. If you want to, we can take a look at what's going on the VMU right now, but I'll just be honest, most of these games, turning on the VMU is pretty useless. It's just showing you a game logo. Shenmue runs great at 1280. I did notice some minor frame drops at 1920, but at 1280 it's good to go. And it's a great game if you're looking to, I don't know, feed cats.
Maybe she's not hungry.
Well, there's also dried fish. Give that a try.
I wonder what else we could be doing. Ooh, look! Capsule toys.
100 yen
Let's
each.
get one of those.
This is cool.
Sweet. It's Wolf from Virtua Fighter 2, but shouldn't we be looking for the guys in the black car or
I should
whatever?
try again.
Let's go have a look.
I'll pass.
Here are some people. Let's ask them.
Yuji,
Yo.
did you see some men dressed in black suits on the day of that incident? They were wearing sunglasses too. On the day when it snowed, do you remember?
No, I don't.
I see.
I'm sorry.
No.
That's
it's
too
okay.
bad. I wonder if they know where we can find some sailors. Good luck to him searching for sailors in the men in black suits. I do love Skies of Arcadia. I noticed after a bit of playing that at 1920 there were occasional frame rate dips, so I'm going to recommend it at 1280. It's one of my favorite RPGs on the Dreamcast. One of my favorite RPGs of this entire era. Just the way that you get to fight one-to-one battles or party-to-party battles and also ship-to-ship battles. There's something special about the exploration in this game. I love the style, I love the music, but Alfonso, I really hate you, dude. I hate you and your smug face. Luckily, this ragtag team of blue robes is here to fight your beast of war or whatever this thing is called. Maybe even drop a nice Cutlass Fury on it and wipe it out. And after that, we can take our airship for a ride, go exploring. It really felt like a precursor to the open world RPGs later, except there were always lots of random battles to interrupt our exploration. Okay, so it does have some downsides, but I still love this game. And finally, Sonic Adventure, because I've already covered Sonic Adventure 2 in a previous Dreamcast video. I do have a lot of fond memories playing this game way back in 1999 on my Sega Dreamcast, and it looks great now running at 1920. It's nice to have a widescreen mode now, which we didn't have before, and I've seen some people online saying that there are issues here with the whale chase scene. Maybe that happens on Flycast, but at least on Redream it runs properly and you can see the whale chasing you. It's not my favorite Sonic game by a long shot, but I do have a soft spot for the soundtrack. That'll do it for another one of these Retroid Pocket 3 Plus settings guides. This one was more of a gameplay showcase, to be honest, because there's not a lot of setup necessary anymore to get good performance on this system when you're playing Dreamcast games. I promise for the next one I'll dive back into some of the more difficult to emulate systems. Blah blah blah, like, comment, subscribe, click the bell. See you next time. Until then, just keep gaming.